Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you today.
Thank you.
Obviously, such a traumatic event in the minds of not only French people, but people around the world. What was your motivation to reconstruct and make a film about that night in the Bataclan?
Yeah, the beginning of the film was this encounter with Ramon and Celine, who really lived the Bataclan attack. And Ramon decided to change his life. Well, they were kidnapped in the dressing room, and there Ramon decided to change his life. He thought that his fear was to die that night, and he thought that his life was a failure, that he would like to live in another way. So he decided to become a writer and to become a teacher for children and teenagers. And that's what he did. He wrote a book, an autobiographical book about that night and a year later, just to keep his memories alive. When we read the book and after that we met Ramon and Celine, we found a lot of stories that we never read or see in media, because in media we don't have time for these real stories that happens in the aftermath. And for them, the story begins there and never finishes. And that's the film that we wanted to do. And we thought that it was something appealing for everybody to ask ourselves if we are living like we would like to live. And also for me it was important to see that they have completely opposite experiences. And one of them wants to change his life. She prefers to keep her life as it was, because changing every little detail would give a victory to terrorists. I could understand both of them perfectly. That's what I wanted to share with the audience, to make think what would we like to do in a case like that, and what do we want to do with our life.
Just to come to your cast, right at the center of it, Nomi and Noel. I mean, they're just such incredible actors, both in their right, but also as a pair. And I think they kind of counteract usual stereotypes, and their relationship resists cliche and being sentimental. So why were they the right people for your cast? And what do you think was interesting about that relationship and their opposing ways of reacting to things?
Yeah, I love them. It's really one of the most uh, bright and emotional experiences that I have had as filmmaker, to work with Noemi, Nahuel, and the rest of the cast, but especially both of them. They are great, and they are the cast that I dreamed when we began with this project. Yeah, I don't drive, but during the whole shooting, I was telling everybody it's like to drive two Ferraris at the same time. Yes, they are great, and I don't know how they do it. How they do it. They spend a lot of time speaking and working with real characters. I mean, Nahuel Perez, Noemi Merland, Alba Aguilera, and Kim Gutierrez. They could talk for a long time with the four people, the four friends who were in Bataclan that night, and they have worked a lot to be faithful to the real stories.
As I was watching the film, I felt at some moments, gosh, I feel I'm living this trauma. It was very affecting. And you could say, is that too much to make people relive it? But as I came out the cinema, it made me reflect on traumas I've suffered in my life and how I've processed and responded to those. Was that something you wanted people to take away? And how do you think it will impact people watching the film?
Yeah, our goal was to transmit to the audience the feelings and the sensations that they had. They told us, and they told us about this sensation of hyperesthesia. I mean, when you're walking on the street and you hear a little noise, and your heart begins to make you feel that you're gonna die, because you think that noise reminds you of the attack. Everybody who was there, it's amazing, but all of them have false memories, and they remember different stories. And we wanted to have a formal structure that responds to their emotions and their experiences, with this idea of the trauma and the taboo image comes back to your mind when you don't expect that.
Obviously, there's an undercurrent in some of the reactions of people in the film of hatred, particularly the Spanish character. How do you see how these terrorist attacks have affected things and politics? And do you feel optimistic, or do you think that people haven't reacted well to these things?
Yeah, it was important for us to talk about the fear of becoming a racist person. All of them, suddenly, there are people who never think in racial terms, and suddenly they have fear of the other, of people who is different of them, and they have shame of themselves, and they fight against these racist people that sometimes we have inside.
It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much, and thank you for this
Thank you very
powerful
much.
film.